So I think I want that to be there. I don't know why that got changed there, but save or update. Sorry, while I do some little code correction, I'll talk while I correct code. It is obviously case sensitive, and obviously that's something we want to deal with. So what we're going to end up doing here is for each of our calls or our functions that we put, or methods to be technically correct, that we put in our interface, we have to actually now write the code that does it. Just as a brief, if you don't know what an interface is basically like a cover on a box that that has holes in it for where buttons are supposed to be. And so that cover only is going to be useful to boxes that have buttons in the correct places. And that's sort of what we have here. So an interface says, hey, this is roughly how you're going to interface. This is how you're going to work with this data or this thing. And in so doing, the interface is going to have certain requirements to it. And those are, in this case, there's methods. So it says, hey, you can integrate your opportunity through this DAO. You can integrate it with whatever data source you want. So we're going to use a JDBC, but it could be things like, it could be stored in a file. So we could have a file implementer that says, take this, and instead of pointing it at the database, let's save it in a file. Or something similar to that. And so what this says is, it says, I don't care where you store it. You need to be able to support these features. And that's what we do in the implementation, which I could go find where I put the implement. And I want to start with, so that's what we're going to be building. Now, the JDBC part, that is, in this case, we've got org.springframework.jdbc.core JDBC template. That is like the core of what we need. Because what we're going to do with the JDBC template is I'm going to create a variable basically to use my JDBC template. It is going to be, this is key, is I've got org Spring Framework stereotype repository, and that is going to be right here. I'm going to need this because when I use that at repository, it says in the system, it says, hey, create this object, go connect. And by the connect is, hey, there's a data source that's going to be sent to it. And so the data source is built based on our properties back here. And it's going to grab those properties. It's going to basically, essentially what it's going to do is it's going to connect to the database for us. So now what I can do is I can take this, effectively, this database connection, and I can do stuff with it. For example, I can say with my JDBC template, I can do a query, which it doesn't like. Let's see. It is deprecated because of, probably it's because it's an object, I believe. But we will deal with this in a little bit. Let's see. Oh, new object ID. Because it probably needs a mapper, as I think what it wants. Oh, it needs a... Yeah, we'll come back to that. I can suppress it and just say, no, but since it's being configured, this is one of those things. We will dig with it. We'll dig into this in another one because I want to correct this for us because this is an older thing that we did. It's an older approach to the JDBC template. I digress. So what we can do is we can do a query. We can give it a, in this case, we're going to give it a row mapper, and I'll show you what that is. And so this is the list. It is a straight SQL query. So we're just going to select star where status is basically where it's still there, order by this, and then we're going to go pass that into the opportunity row mapper. So we're going to need to create a row mapper. Row mappers are also fairly simple because what we're going to do is we're going to, within our row mapper, we're going to take an object, our model, which in this case is the opportunity itself, And we're going to basically just create a new instance, and we're going to populate it. So we're going to set the ID, the title, in this case, all of the variables or all of the values that are the columns from the database that are also the properties on the class. So this is how we map our data from the database into our model. And then we also have a result set extractor, which is another thing we can use, because we basically say, hey, I'm going to take a result set that I get from SQL, and I'm going to go through, in this case, I'm going through each record in my result set, and I am now going to map. I'm going to create a mapper, and I'm going to pull those values in. So it's basically query the database, get your result set, pass the result set into the extractor, which says take the extractor and turn that into instead of each row being a result set, each row is going to be a opportunity row, a row mapper. It's basically going to say take that data, make it something that is more useful to me. So instead of a database result set, it's going to be a list of rows in memory, and that's where I'm going to use the mapper. And so at that point, so here we go. So I'm going to come through here. It says, hey, given an opportunity row mapper, we are off and ready to go. Let's see. So with that, and we can get more complicated. We can do some pretty complicated queries. We will talk more about these later. Because right now what I just want to do is I'm going to say, hey, let's see if I can list the data in my table, in my database right now. That means that I'm going to swing back over because I've got my model, I've got my DAO, so I've got an interface that says this is how we're going to interact with some data store. I've got the DAO IMPL, the implementation class. I've got something that actually uses that interface and implements it for, in this case, MariaDB. And I could name that something like opportunity DAO implement MariaDB, something like that to really be specific about it. I also have my result set extractor that says, hey, whatever I get from the database, I'm going to map that into memory objects. With my row mapper, I say for each row in a result set, here's how I'm going to map it. And so now I need to go back to my hello controller, which is not my rest. It's the other, where'd that go? So I go to my hello controller. And so now I want to be able to actually put this code together. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to actually get an instance of my opportunity DAO. Now it's not the implementer. I've already got that like wired up. It's going to say, hey, this implementation already exists. This is the one it's going to take. So I'm going to use an AutoWire again, which basically just goes through, walks through that code and creates an instance of an opportunity DAO, which we're just going to call lowercase o opportunity DAO, because then we get to call that. And that, notice that we don't have to talk about the implementer or anything like that. We've already got that stuff wired in. Everything's good because it says, hey, this is my repository. That's where it basically links my DAO IMPL to the actual DAO. I've got my JDBC template. I'm connecting everything up. Now I come over to my hello controller. And now that I've got it all hooked up, now I can work with it just like any other class. So now this is where I can do my list. I can do a get because I generated those. I could actually delete. I can do a few different things from this one. Let's see. I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to present results like that because that was a result set. Now I have here add attribute results. We've talked about this before where I can actually come in and like we did with name here. So for greetings, where's greetings? That was all the way up here. I have something very simple as I'm just passing that name in. Now what I can do is, and so here if I run it right now, this is one, I didn't even pass it a name, but I can see here's my my opportunities and stuff. What I can do is I can change this. So let's change this to, let's change this to be here is your opportunity, if I can spell it right. And we're just going to call this op. And let's see what this looks like. So we're going to change this up a little bit. It's probably not what I want to do. I probably don't, because I'm using greetings in 2 places. So I probably should. Let me go look at this real quick. Oh, wrong one. Well, get over here. So if I go over here and I do my hello controller, yes, I'm using greetings twice. So let's change that. Let's say, let's roll this back. There we go. And instead, I'm going to duplicate that. Well, let's do it this way. Sure. Yeah, fine. I'll save that. This is going to be opportunity. And actually, I could probably get far more complicated. So let me go see. I think I have. I don't know if I've got it all set up. Let's see how good this works. If I go back to my prior list, as I had somewhere in here. So we're going to take our page here. Let's make sure I'm on the right one. Yep. And this is now going to be we're going to do an opportunity. And we're going to do it this way. And we're just going to call it op. And so we're going to pass that in. So now this is going to be add attribute name. Actually, I'm sorry, op equals item, right? Yeah, because that's the one that we got. So now if we go look at it, oops, did I go, oh, because I didn't change this to, change that to opportunity. And is it going in the right place? Let's see. So add attribute, oh, did I get that right? Add attribute name. I'm going to give the model back. Did I create my model? I did. Okay, so model add attribute is the item. Let's just do, let's see. Did I get that right? No, he is not going to, oh, because I've got to reset. I've got to rebuild it because it was not going to the right place. That happens sometimes. Boom, and here's my opportunity. So I get this big honking to string because that's what it's going to do. It's going to take my opportunity, much as I did down here, and somewhere in here you could see it pretty nasty where it does it out to a string. Now I can clean this up. I can put, name it as I need to and things like that. We will stop there, and we're going to come back next time around. We'll get a little deeper into this, and we're going to look at, we'll go ahead and list out our opportunities. We'll add that in, and we're just going to keep on chugging along. So if you have any questions, shoot an email out to info@developreneur.com, and we'll just do our best to keep chugging along here. Happy to help you out in any way that we can. If you have any questions, any struggles, let us know. As always, go out there and have yourself a great day and a great week. We'll talk to you next time.
Well, hello, this is Rob with Developreneur, also known as Building Better Developers. Wanted to announce that we have school.developreneur.com. Feel free to check it out if you like any of this information, any of the content that we've sent, and you would like to see more. You can come out, you can enroll for free. We have free courses. We've got places for you to get better at just learning a technology, our how-tos. You can work on your business skills. We can help you with becoming a better developer, as in coding and things like that. A lot of the stuff you've seen on YouTube, we also have out at school.developreneur. We just have it in a little more of a educational format and a way for you to track your progress as you move forward becoming a better developer.